Well, pretty sensational news coming from the Tory leadership campaign-ish, anyway. Sensational-ish.
It is sensational, Sheila. It's breaking news and it's very exciting.
Tell me.
Sheila, James Cleverly has been sensationally knocked out of the Tory leadership contest today. It is going to be between Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch. They are the two Tory leadership candidates who will now be going to the members to fight it out for every vote. And this is so interesting, Sheila, because it has just been such a twist and turn of this leadership battle. We just haven't been able to predict how it's going to go. Earlier today, I've got no shame in telling you this, I thought Kemi Badenoch was going to be the one that's going to be knocked out, but she has had an absolute surge of support today compared to yesterday, where she actually dropped a couple of MP votes. Now she is now in the lead. She is now in the lead with 42 MPs getting behind her. Robert Jenrick just behind her on 41. James Cleverly now knocked out on 37. James Cleverly yesterday was leading the pack. This is it's very exciting for us political junkies because we just can't predict how it's going to go.
And what's interesting is it looks as though the party has chosen the right, but which flavour of right has it chosen? Or not the party is the parliamentary party been voting so far. It goes to the members now. So when I was talking to Aggie yesterday, I was asking if it is those two, as it is, Badenoch and Jenrick, what are the differences between them? Because the differences between either of them and Cleverly were pretty easy to see. What about the differences between them?
Yeah, between Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch, I think there's obviously less difference than there are between the other two candidates. Of course, we had James Cleverly and before that Tom Tugendhat, mainly seen as being more on the centre of the Conservative Party, or the sort of soft left of the Conservative Party. Robert Jenrick has talked a lot about some of what we might think are Tory bread and butter issues, things like the European Court of Human Rights, things about migration. He wants to leave the ECHR. He says we can't reform it. He's talked a lot about sort of bringing back the Rwanda scheme as well. That's something that Kemi Badenoch has not discussed. She wants to talk about how it's more about ideology and what the Conservative Party want to be, and about how we reframe the thinking about what Conservative ideas are. She wants to talk about family. She wants to talk about what the Conservatives are, who they are trying to appeal to, and try and really get back to the roots of what conservatism means. Robert Jenrick's team wants to talk about policies. They want to talk about what things they will do if they get back into government. But of course, they're both on the right of the Conservative Party. I think it's fair to say that. So this is something that I don't think anybody really, a couple of hours ago, was expecting. Yeah, James Cleverly, I think, had the best conference speech of all four of them last week at the Tory Party conference in Birmingham. I think he went down in the rumours incredibly well. I think a lot of people see him as the more acceptable face of conservatism. It's not.
Well, the other two also made arguably a gaffe each, didn't they, during that conference?
Yeah, exactly. We obviously had those comments from Robert Jenrick about the SAS, which I know you were obviously incredibly upset to hear, and a lot of Tory members
shared that. I'm not so upset. I just thought, prove it. Don't say stuff like that and then not bring proof.
Yeah, but it is there were incredibly controversial comments coming from Robert Jenrick's team and from him himself the week before. I think that obviously has clearly had a little bit of effect on people in the last few days who weren't quite sure about whether they wanted to back Robert Jenrick. Look, clearly Kemi Badenoch absolutely soaring in support today just shows how wide open this leadership race has been. And obviously, James Cleverly clearly not mopping up quite as much support. Maybe Conservative MPs, when push comes to shove, have generally decided, look, we want someone who's going to be a bit punchier, who's going to be a bit more controversial, who's going to be a bit bolder in their action. Maybe they don't feel that James Cleverly is the guy to do that. However, I think some members will feel disappointed because they're going to have two people that are quite similar, are from the same wing of the Conservative Party, and both touting quite of right-wing ideologies and ideals.
But that then brings it down to appeal, doesn't it, to those Tory members? Talk to me about both individuals and their personalities, such as you know them, because you...
Yeah, I think Robert Jenrick is probably the smoother candidate. He's probably, the person I think has put in the most over the summer to tour around Tory associations, members. He probably knows the party better than Kemi Badenoch. She comes across, I think, more, when you meet her in real life, is slightly more sort of reserved. She's slightly, a pricklier character, I think it's fair to say. But yeah, I think between the two of them, I think Robert Jenrick will be seen probably for most people as a little bit more of that acceptable face of the Tory party.
But I guess how she might speak to people like you and me, and how she might speak to people who are in the Conservative Association whose votes she needs might be rather different.
Potentially, yeah. Well, look, on stage last week during the sort of conference speeches, I think she appeared very confident, very relaxed, very laid back, clearly trying to portray an image of herself as somebody that wasn't afraid to take on the Conservative Party, and she wants to renew it from the ground up. She essentially wants to sort of burn everything that's gone before and start again.
Well, review and rebuild is what's behind her.
Yeah.
Is that her choice? Or
that's
the
the Conservative Party's.
Oh, okay.
That's not hers. Her
That's
sort
not
of
hers.
Renewal 2030 is her sort of
Renewal
slogan, catchphrase.
2030.
She wants it to be about more than just who the next leader will be, but about what the party is doing to change. Arguably, some people will say those close to Robert Jenrick will say he's the one that understands and gets the sort of depth of the loss that the Conservative Party suffered over the summer.
That he is.
That he sort of has done the work to sort of go, actually, guys, look, this is why we've lost. We did lose really bad, and has been quite honest about the face of that challenge. Some of the criticism towards Kemi Badenoch is that she maybe hasn't done as much of that soul searching as Robert Jenrick did. But yes, he in the sort of early stages was seen as the guy sort of a little bit chancing it, really, not the expectation that he was going to get this far in the leadership race. But he's clearly got a team of support behind him. So yeah, there is still all to play for, I think.
I mean, there's a lot of ambition in politics, isn't there? Certainly at this level. So, you get why certain individuals would want to lead their party, even if it's while the party is in, well, more than the doldrums. It's in the bin, really, isn't it, at the moment, electorally? We're not looking at the person that will take them into the next election, probably.
I think it's unlikely, personally. Obviously, any candidate who wins is going to say the Tories, of course, can win the next election. And we sort of heard that a lot at the party's conference last week. There was a lot of confidence amongst members that they can turn it around, especially with what they say has been Keir Starmer having a less than ideal first 100 days in office. James Cleverly, I think, was a candidate that wanted to appeal to sort of more normal people. And his team kept making hay of the fact that he was polling better with the actual general public, and same with Tom Tugendhat. That's what they wanted to see from the changes to the Conservative Party, compared to people like Robert Jenrick, like Kemi Badenoch.
I just think if you have to say, either I or we, if you have to say we need to be more normal, you're not normal, are you?
Well, he was saying the Conservative Party need to be less weird. That was his sort of main message.
You're not normal if you have to say, I really must be less weird.
Well, anyone that's part of a political party, I'd argue, is probably not a normal person, would be quite weird too.
That's my premise from the start.
Exactly. But yes, it will be really interesting now to see this now go to the members and what the difference is. Like you say, will they be able to see something different? Is Kemi Badenoch still the members' favourite? We all have to sort of wait
and will there
see.
be these debates with the Tory members?
Yes, they've not been confirmed exactly what format they were going to be, but we are expecting there to be some televised debates between the two, head to head, so they can clash off and people can really see the differences between the two of them.
The only thing I remember from the Truss Sunak, literally the only thing I remember from those, is him essentially saying, with his Treasury head on, don't do it. Don't do what you're proposing to do. And she was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. Don't do it. It's like that Instagram thing, isn't it? Don't do it. Nobody will know. Everyone will know. Who's going to know?
Yes.
Well, we found out.
We will. We will see. We'll see them go up against each other and probably have more of a clash, more of a debate. But let's not forget, this is the first time the Tory members have actually had a chance to vote since Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak went up against each other in, when was that, 2022? So it's been a long time since the members have had their say. I'm told that it's not quite the membership that it used to be. It was around 170,000 last time the figures were released. I think it's now more down to around 140,000 now. So it's a really, really slim part of the electorate and really, really hard to poll exactly what they think.
Well, I heard a couple of women at the Conservative women, just members of the party, at the conference, just being voxed essentially about the contenders, and they both had, I can't remember the exact names now, but they both had names like Daphne and Mildred, that you'd automatically assume were something, a very particular kind of voice or personality was going to follow. And actually they both spoke a lot of sense. They were both very they sounded to me like very sensible people who were giving serious thought to the issues and understood the depth of the defeat and to a degree why it had happened, that kind of thing. So who knows what they'll choose. So interesting times, sensational times.
It's going to be really exciting. You know, I just don't know what's happened with this latest round of voting. You know, is the suggestion that James Cleverly's team has lent a couple more votes than they intended to another team to see Kemi Badenoch knocked out? Look at the numbers. That's what it suggests, doesn't it?
Well, 42 to 41. That's close.